Hello and welcome. Man, that beat hit right when I started. Nice.
Perfect time.
It was perfect.
Intentional.
Intentional. Don't look back. Uh, Hello, we're live and welcome to Table Talk. We're going to be talking about items today, and I am super stoked because honestly, I think one of the biggest things that separates Pathfinder from a lot of other games is just the amount of items they give you, and honestly how cheap they are. Well, cheap from the player perspective. But before we get into all of that, first of all, I want to thank everyone for being here and everyone who watches these streams after the fact. Really makes me happy that some people are just interested in some of this content. I enjoy talking about these kind of videos. I really hate clickbaiting every single one of them with like, yeah, let's compare it to 5e. Because I don't care about 5e. Like, not really. Like, 5e can do whatever it wants, and if 5e was a better game, then I'd be playing 5e. But, you know, in my opinion, Pathfinder's a great game. But this has been a really busy week for me, so if I peter out like halfway through, I apologize. I'm getting videos together because we have our 1 year anniversary next week on Tuesday.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So that's coming out on Tuesday, but I'm going to be at a wedding this weekend. So I have to get everything ready before this weekend.
Oh boy.
And then on top of that, the Oracle video is also coming out this Saturday, as always. And I won't even be at home.
Sometimes it'd be like that, honestly.
Hey Slug, what's up? And no worries, Flame Loud. I do weekly videos, but unlike other channels that only do like weekly videos on this kind of stuff, I also supply live content for the people who want to see the stuff in action, and you know, people who are just into that kind of stuff. I think that's kind of one of the weird things about like producing everything on like doing everything like live and all that, because people are just like, well, why are you streaming 3 days a week when you could be making another video or whatever? And the answer to that question is most channels that do this kind of content only do about 1 video a week of value anyway. So not only that, but this is a community. Bad Luck Gamer is here to give everyone a chance to enjoy the greatness of tabletop, and that means that even games like tomorrow, I have some of my viewers in that game. I have some people who are just newer to the system in that game, and I want to show off to other people that you can get into this. You can get in with like an experienced GM without having to be stressed about it, you know? We're all here to have fun. We're all here to enjoy the games. And I also just want to show, you know, like, show off what I preach. I just don't want to be those kind of people that, like, produces content and then really doesn't show up.
The true Bad Luck Gamer was the friends we made along the way.
Well, unfortunately, Flame Loud, you're going to be caught up on all the content I produce because it takes you 20 minutes to watch a video I take 8 hours to produce. So no matter what I do, you're always going to be all caught up. So you're just going to have to enjoy coming in here, hanging out with us, and you know,
make 7 games a week. Make 7 videos a week, dude. It's easy.
Yeah, right? Man, if I did that, I would die.
Yeah, those people, I can't imagine making a video every week unless you have like, or no, every day, unless you have like a full crew.
Well, that, or you're doing like live play content where all you're doing is just playing for 30 minutes, intro, outro, and then maybe a little editing on the side, and that's about it,
Yeah.
you know?
Though at least I do get it. Because like if I have a choice of what I'm gonna watch, I'd rather watch like content rather than like at least stuff on the topic, not actual play. Because like I can only watch so much of like other people's D&D games because they're really long and it's not fully my cup of tea. But
No, you know what? And legitimately, I'm like the same way, right? So I get it. I get that thirst for. I'm glad someone wants the content bad enough to be like, hey, more content, please. So you know what? It makes me happy. And honestly, I'm not much into live plays myself either.
Yeah.
I do watch some, and especially if it's a GM that like I'm getting tips from or whatever, watching their videos, I'm curious to see how they do it, in comparison to how I do it. It's just it's just one of those things where it's like, one, I want to play tabletop during the week, and I can't do that if I'm producing videos every day. So this gets me my amount of tabletop that I like, plus I get to produce content as well. So it really, really just fits my schedule really well, and this is like the most non-stressed way of doing it. And hey, you know what? That just means that there's a need for the content, so I'm all for helping produce that. Oh, speaking of, I'm sure some of you might not be into this, but our new game is starting tomorrow with our session 0. And even if you're not into live play content, tomorrow is just us sitting down talking about the new game, getting our characters made, and I find that kind of stuff interesting. I like looking at all the works behind the scenes. So if anyone is interested in that kind of content, check us out tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, as we get our characters set up. We got a pretty fun lineup so far. I have a good idea of what everyone wants to play, besides maybe one person. But unfortunately, I don't want to talk about it right now because someone might change their mind tomorrow, and I don't want to put any expectations on those people. So today we're just going to talk about cool-ass magic items, and honestly, really parsing out like what makes Pathfinder different from like everyone else. And I think one important thing to kind of mention about what makes any of these games kind of feel really janky with their items is you can't have a real world economy with something like this, right? Because then your standard everyday Joes couldn't afford half the things that come up in these games, even on a realistic standard. Even just doing like if you look up like bounty hunter work, right? Like it's great and whatever, but it takes a lot of time to accomplish those kind of missions.
True.
And
took the whole campaign.
Right. And like the amount of money just pays for the job more than anything. Oh, and that's sad that I don't touch your magic items. Probably built some distrust with some cursed items, which is a pretty relatable thing, honestly, from a GM perspective.
There's some scary curses you can put on them. One bad curse has got your players paranoid. There's always that one thing you do as a DM that like you then notice like, oh no, I've ruined them. I've made them paranoid of this one thing forever. I always just never knew how to properly give out magic items to not break shit, you know?
I used to be that way, and then... No, and I was muted intentionally because I was crushing a can. And I don't think the audience wants to hear me go... as I'm,
I agree. I don't want to hear that either.
Well, too bad. You asked.
I actually didn't. I didn't say anything about your mic.
Yeah, you did. I thought you said you're muted, Cam.
No, I said something else.
I'm pretty sure you said you're muted.
I was talking about that I can't... I don't know how to balance out magic items, and I was making something, but we spoke at the same time.
Sure. Well, whatever. I guess then my bad. Oh well. Suffer. But anyway, yeah. So first of all, let's talk about gold. Right. I actually really genuinely love Pathfinder's income system because it shows how much gold people make like on average, and you can kind of parse that out to like what it actually means to own an amount. So for instance, let's talk minimum wage, because I know everyone here has at least been in minimum wage at some point in their life, and if you haven't, you're one of the lucky ones.
Or you just haven't worked.
In which case, I'm sorry, but this is lying in your future. Alright, so let's give your average everyday person the BFD and make them level 1, right? For something that you're just starting for the first time, new employee, you get 2 silver pieces per day. Which means in a 5-day work week, you get 1 gold.
Oh, okay, so it's the same as 5e. The 1 gold is like the standard work week.
Something like that. I don't even know anymore.
I think that's still the adage I've heard for 5e, because like the other adage I hear is to help people like at least consider the amount of money someone hands you is like 1 gold in 5e is basically the equivalent of like $100.
I always price it out to closer to like $50 is about, because that's about what it comes out to in excuse me, that's what it pretty much comes out to in Pathfinder anyway.
Yeah.
But due to game balancing and everything like that, obviously not everything's going to be realistic. Some items are just going to be more expensive because the players are going to be expected to have more money.
Yeah.
But let's look at some of the services, shall we? This will be a really good like show of what it means to have about like what a gold piece represents in this world. Man, I miss Groovy.
Yeah. On the bright side, at least this bot isn't playing random sea shanties.
That's true.
It just cuts out every once in a while.
Every 3 seconds.
Yeah.
All right. So just for reference, right? If I say a gold piece is worth 50 gold or $50, that makes a silver piece worth $5 and a copper piece worth 50 cents. Okay. You know what I mean? So let's take something that I think everyone can relate to, which is like food, right?
Yeah.
So shitty food, right? Shitty food, like, I don't know, something you get off the dollar menu at McDonald's is technically for a meal a copper piece. So that's like already
a chunk of top ramen or something for y'all.
Well, yeah, like if it was a pot of top ramen, I think this is a lot better. But it's 1 copper piece. That means about 50 cents. If we're talking ramen, perfect. If we're talking like a dollar dollar menu item, it's a little under. But a meal, a square meal, right? So this is something that is considered like a full meal, like a full combo meal. And this is 3 copper pieces, which makes it equivalently $1.50.
Better, but
Better, but yeah. And then fine dining is a gold piece.
It's a big leap.
So that's $50 for a fine meal. Now that sounds a little bit more reasonable for like a single person. That sounds a little bit more likely. But let's.
Sounds like you had a nice steak. Like honestly.
Yeah.
Like a nice steak drink.
I wouldn't call it like 3-star Michelin style like meal or anything like that. But that's what they have. So already it's kind of a little bit off. But now let's look at like weapons, right? So I'm sure, being the nerds that we all are, we have purchased a sword at some point or a dagger, right? No. Well, I know you. I don't
want to invite that evil into my home.
Well, you already have that evil in your home, so what are you even talking about?
I do, but it's not near me, so I'm safe.
A dagger, so like a 5-inch knife or whatever, it goes for 2 silver pieces, $10. That's really cheap.
That's
honestly.
pretty cheap.
Now if we go up to like a short sword or something, you know, like something I think everyone has purchased at one point or looked at purchasing at one point, if you go to like a Ren fair or whatever. A short sword is... Oh, they're alphabetical. I'm dumb. I'm like, oh shit, long sword. That means I passed short sword. 9 silver pieces. That's $45.
Honestly, makes sense.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
That does sound like at least like if I went out and bought one, I'd be buying like a stainless steel short sword. But obviously, that's with our inflation and all that.
True. And like these are not necessarily items of like quality or whatever.
Yeah, that's
but
fair.
all the examples I've given so far have sounded pretty cheap, honestly. Like everything is like a little cheaper than about my estimation. If we bumped it up to what you said earlier, like $100 per gold piece, then it starts, you know, then that meal is like $1. That full combo meal is about $3, you know. The short sword is like $90. But then let's talk about armor, right? You know, anyone can look any of this up online, and you can tell me like the general prices, right? And armor is where it really gets expensive.
Oof, yeah. Yes, it does.
Chainmail, and we're just gonna go with chainmail because that's like the most general one you can buy like nowadays, right? Is 6 gold pieces, which means by my standard, that's about $300. And if we go with the $100 per gold pieces, that's $600.
That sounds about right. Sounds like how much it would be if I bought a thing of chainmail.
And now if we look at like what chainmail costs online, they can range full suits being upwards of like almost $500. It's looking like some can go even more than that. Some can go up to $625. So honestly, there's not really a good way to parse out exactly what a gold value is because we just have different economies. You know what I mean? Like we just don't have the same amount. I give that a gold piece is about $50 worth. Because if you look at the income table, for something that's like a little bit more reasonable, like say a level 3 or whatever, who's like an expert at their craft, they only make about 5 silver pieces per day. So in a given week, they only make like, let's see, that's 25, 50, 75, 100, about $125 a week. And that's kind of terrible. But even if you double that, to 250, that's still not like a whole bunch, honestly. And that's for level 3 work. But these tables are really good at showing just the example that gold is a lot. No matter what you say, your gold value is actually like nuts. Like your average person gets maybe like 10 gold a month working full time. And potentially, honestly, less than that.
Probably, honestly.
So, taking that into consideration, a lot of these magic items are way out of the price range of your standard person. Even in Pathfinder, where the smallest health potion is like 4 gold pieces, right?
Yeah, something good and cheap.
Something good and cheap. In the normal person, like everyday person's like perspective, that's half their month's pay for 1 potion.
Quite a price to pay for some nice medical service.
So that's why I said, like, in Pathfinder everything seems cheap, because in 5th edition, oh boy.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. Yell about this one.
No, I already have a clip.
Do it.
I already have a
Do
clip
it.
with me. Nope, there's already a clip. You want to say it? Go watch clip. But your standard potion in 5th edition is 50 gold pieces. That means the person has to work 5 months for a shitty ass potion.
Yeah, it's very stupid. Actually, while we're talking about this, I'm gonna grab my 5th edition DMG. I want to see the pricing for certain stuff. One sec. It's
okay.
Behind me.
Shut up, Devin. You already know. But yeah, so that is what we're talking about when we're talking about like adventure rich or player rich or whatever. We're talking about people who on hand have more money than people make in several like months. And not only that, but you go to a dungeon and players are like, how much money do these creatures have on them? And the GM's just like, oh, I don't know, small amount, like 3 gold. Like 3 gold? That's $150 he just looted from that guy's wallet. Like, I mean, to me, who doesn't make a lot of money personally, that's a lot. That's a lot of money, honestly. Well, I wouldn't give for like $150 on any given day, right? And all I had to do is just go knock a bandit out and loot his wallet, you know? But, so when we're talking magic items, right, this is the scale we're talking about. We're talking about items that are just on a level that your average person cannot get. So, if you're playing this forever, just like, man, we only get like 125 gold for this mission, just be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Only 125 gold. I'm paying you nearly $1,000 just to do this mission.
You get adventure rich. You forget how much money you actually have. I love the oh my god, there was a really good post I found that really put into perspective like you just forget like what being adventure rich is, because like the encounter everyone does. You go into a bar, you get a drink, some guy's like, all right, I'll be like 5 copper, and you just slap down a whole gold piece. You're like, break it for me. It's like you're handing someone, like, you went to a tiny restaurant, you just handed a dude like $1,000, and you're like, yeah, here you go, I don't want to break the change. Imagine what that's like like for anyone surrounding you. Like, just being very like, I don't want to do some math. Here you go. Way over what you're asking me.
Oh, yeah. There's so many times where, like, in a game...
I've done it. Like,
it's just like, it's 5 copper. I hand him a whole gold piece. It's just like, the guy just asked you, by my metric, he asked you for, like, $2.50 or whatever, and you just handed him a $50 bill, and you're just like, meh. You know
how annoying that is a certain, like, if you have to give back change? Like, when someone comes in, like, opening and be like, here you go, here's $100 for this $5 item.
You know how annoying that
Awful.
is for someone who they don't ask for the change back when you work at a retail place, and then you have to
your
explain,
register needs to be even,
and you need to explain to your manager that, well, the guy just handed me like $100 for a Snickers. What was I gonna do? I told him we don't do that, and he just left. I
tried to give him money back, and he just left. He called me a loser as he walked out. Like, you probably need it more than I do. It's kind of rude. Like, that is...
He can't even pocket the difference, you know?
Yeah, no, you can't. You have to give it to the manager. It's, it's just one of those things where I think everyone does that when, like, on the player side. You just kind of forget how much a gold piece is, and you forget, like, how rich you are as an adventurer. Just running through dungeons, like, finding gold that's laying around and just putting it back into the economy. and now you're just suddenly really fucking rich. Or you find some really nice equipment, just sell it to someone who has no right having that good equipment. Someone who's like, I've never seen anything above like a +1, like longsword, and that was like something I saw in passing. You just handed me an insane artifact with a demon inside of it. What do we do with this?
For real.
Yeah.
And don't worry, Flame Loud. Join the Discord down below or in the description. And you get the chance to maybe play with us in the future. Granted, we just started another game, so it's going to be a few months before we start for another one. But hey, possibilities always there. But yeah, so like player gold already just doesn't make sense to us, and players get super desensitized to the cost of things. Like I give out gold really regularly in my Pathfinder game. Just recently, I gave every player 1,000 gold. Now, like, in perspective, by my metric anyway, I just handed everyone $50,000. Or no, 5,000 times 50. Yeah, $50,000. Man, I'm dumb. $50,000.
Yeah, like a nuts amount of money.
And the players have already blown through all of it, and they picked up a few magic items, and they picked up a few magic items, they did a bunch of crafting, and some of you still have some of the money, right? But, like, it didn't make you guys instantly rich. You guys didn't go around and just be like, oh man, I could go and live like this for the rest of my life. Like, you didn't have that perspective. Despite the fact that 1,000 gold pieces would set most people in this world for life.
Yeah, I'd like to get that much money. Like, good lord.
Not for life, but like for a couple years.
Yeah.
You don't even have to work.
Comfortable.
And this is, and no, by the way, most of these games have like a medieval setting. This amount of money to these people is still bonkers as far as like what they could do. Now, granted, most of these settings don't really reinforce the monarchy kind of serfdom that was actually like happening. Like in real life, you had to give like almost everything away to your landlord. And in some places, you had to give like a stupid huge amount of tax, and like they took everything, half of whatever you made, and then you got the rest of them over. But like, for real, these prices are nuts. But you know, I think we're done talking about the economy for now, in game and in real life. I don't think anyone needs to relive the fact that we live in a post-capitalistic world.
So one thing I want to mention while I've been rifling through the DMG, it's something to do with pricing. A little more talk about economy stuff, but it's the really stupid magic item rarity table that 5e has. The one that's really, really stupid. At least on the bright side, it does say that consumable items such as potions or scrolls should be half the price of a permanent item with the same rarity. But the rarity cost is something like, for an uncommon weapon, which is basically like a +1 longsword, that is anywhere from 101 to 500 gold pieces. In Pathfinder, a +1 striking weapon is 100 gold, flat. Just straight up magic weapon is 35 gold. And then it goes up to some ludicrous things, like a rare, which is a 5th level or higher, like item for a character, is anywhere from 501 to 5,000 gold. Or then very rare, 5,001 to 50,000 gold.
Right.
Like, that is a massive scale. How do you figure out like how much this weapon's supposed to be if you're just given like, here's your parameters, figure it out.
Here's your parameters, several thousand gold. This is either affordable or not. You be the judge.
That's ridiculous. That's why like every 5e game I played in, they always use like the I think they call it's like sane magic item cost. I forget the exact name, but it's very good. Like the actual pricing. Whenever I'm playing in a game, the DM will always mention they're using it, and every time they tell me how expensive magic item is, I usually go, "Oh, that's fair." Like I've yet to come across at least someone using that system where I'm like, "What the fuck? Why is it that much?" It usually makes sense, and it's kind of weird that the best way to price magic items is a purely homebrew thing.
Yeah, in Pathfinder, on the contrary, I feel that's all very well balanced and really sensible too.
Totally.
Because by like 5th edition standard, right? Who in that world can afford it? Who?
Yeah, God.
We've already just confirmed that players get dumb rich by the average person's perspective. And even like the living costs for like living fancy, like I think it's like 50 gold pieces or 100 gold pieces like a month for like income. Like even at that amount, those items are just not feasible for anyone. It's
ridiculous.
Just dumb. But you know what? Let's bring up the number one item that slaps every 5th edition player in the face the second they play Pathfinder. And no, I'm not talking about potions. You want to guess what it is?
Is it the bag of holding?
No.
Oh, okay. Because that'd be the first one I look for. Is it standard adventure equipment?
Yes.
Okay. I got it in 2. There we go.
Well, you didn't name the item specifically. It's in that category, though.
A rope.
Nope.
Candles.
Nope.
Clothing.
No. It is full plate armor.
Gloves. Full plate. That's fair.
Full plate armor. In 5th edition, if memory serves, full plate armor is 1,000 gold pieces.
I have the player's handbook. I will double check.
For those who play Pathfinder 2nd edition, a set of full plate is 30 gold pieces.
Full plate is 1,500 gold.
1,500, even worse than I thought.
Even worse.
Jesus. Yeah, full plate in Pathfinder, 30 gold pieces.
That's pretty good. And, I mean, I also see in the armor, Hell Knight plate is 35 gold.
It's true. But Hell Knight plate is also, like, aesthetic as fuck. So.
True. That's what the extra 5 gold is for.
That's what the extra 5 is, just for all the extra flair. It
offers
no other benefits.
Just make your armor kind of spiky.
Yep. And badass looking. But let's take the metrics that we gave for. By my estimation, in 5th edition, they're saying a full set of plate mail armor is $75,000.
Good lord.
You see that knight over there? He's wearing the equivalent of, like, a fucking expensive-ass car in armor. But in Pathfinder...
It's ridiculous.
It's, ironically, $1,500.
Yeah, that sounds better. You want to know what the best part is? I'm looking up how much, like, plate is. Granted, it's not real. But, like, yeah, these, like, some of the prices I'm seeing are actually around, like, $1,000.
Yeah,
it makes more sense.
I mean, and granted, that's in a post, post-capitalistic society where everything's a lot easier to obtain.
And we also don't need plate. Like, we're not going out and fighting in plate armor. We should. Be fun.
I mean, you can if you LARP.
I mean, like, with real fighting, you know?
Everyone's like with real fighting, but none of y'all have even been in a real fight.
Nope.
You have no idea how painful real fighting is.
I will pretend to know what it is until I get in a fight in which I will run away.
I sparred for like 2 months for real when I was in college. And man, it sucks.
I have never taken or thrown a punch, and I don't plan to anytime soon.
Like, my right hip and my right shoulder are fucked. It's actually not that good.
I can imagine, yeah.
But yeah, in Pathfinder 2, my players have bought their whole gear and could get like 2 to 3 elixirs of life at level 1. Bam. Yeah. See, and you know what? It doesn't break the game.
No,
you know what happens? At level 1, they still get their asses handed to them with those potions anyway. Low level still sucks, despite having cheaper potions and more hit HP than 5th edition. You know why? Because the game developers are like, hey, you know what we should do? We should make this game balanced and give the players the opportunity to get stuff at the same time, too.
Yeah, I mean, literally the only thing it did, because, like, when I joined your campaign, the Wednesday one, like, I was able to buy with my starting money, like, all the starting equipment and every piece of clothing. So my character needed it to be in disguise. And all it did was like, oh, I'm prepared for these situations. Like, pretty early on. It just gave me more options. There's no reason for, like, to withhold things from your players, like, with, like, price cap, when honestly, it doesn't do anything. You just have all these little extra items that, like, you can use to help out. They're not gonna, like, kill the dragon or whatever. Like, it's just, oh, I have this item. Can I use this for this locked door? And they're like, oh, that's a cool idea. Here's a circumstance bonus. Like, it just inspires creativity to have your players, like, get a bunch of cool, like, minor equipment. Especially if it fits their character.
Even on the higher scale, Pathfinder really rewards you for having an item for every occasion. For having multiple weapons, multiple sets of armors. Like, one of the things I'm trying to instill my players in the Tuesday game is bring a bunch of magic items. Because you can use a lot of them, you can equip them, and it doesn't break the encounter. Like, the game expects you to bring items as you level for Pathfinder, which, I mean, 5th edition should do, because then they can have their cake and eat it too, you know? Yeah. They can keep the game balanced and the players get cool shit, right? But it's like, you go one step further, and you're like, okay, here's some really, really good magic items. They found some really good magic items. This puts them prospectively higher than they should. Cool, all the better. Throw at your players other kinds of challenges in fights then. Up the difficulty in fights. Let them be cool. Or just let them shit stomp some enemies and feel really good about their epic characters. Like, yeah. Neither... If you really want to challenge your players, you can do so. You can do so.
Very, very easily.
And you know what? Flameloud mentioned earlier that 5th edition items are not balanced. A lot of shit in 5th edition is not balanced. And one of these spells that really breaks the game, it's you can't do it until, like, super high level, right? But there's a combo where you can use Wish to make a Simulacrum who has all your spell slots with the Simulacrum spell slot available. And then the next day, the Simulacrum can make a Simulacrum of you, but that Simulacrum will have your 9th level spell slot available. And then that Simulacrum can make another Simulacrum and with its Simulacrum spell slot, and use the Wish spell to make another Simulacrum, all of which have both spell slots. So on the second day, you can have infinite Simulacrums.
Sounds like a very fun BBG.
Right, it's broken because it just breaks literally everything in the game.
Just breaks it.
And if I'm not mistaken, I'll double check though. Because Pathfinder does have both Wish and Simulacrum. I hate the Wish spell. I think the Wish spell takes a lot of the fun out of a lot of the spell lists. Oh yeah, so first of all, it's a 10th level spell slot. Which means It's already really, really hard. Has the same effect. Duplicate any arcane spell at 9th level or lower. Duplicate any non-arcane spell of 7th level or lower. Produce any effect whose power level is in line with the above effects. Reverse certain effects that refer to the wish spell. Now, if we look at the effects of Simulacrum, which I believe is a 7th level spell. Let's see here.
It's a very good point you make, Flame. This stream is a safe place for you to vent about 5e.
It is. It is a safe place. Now, don't get me wrong. And I forgot, and I guess Pathfinder doesn't even have a Simulacrum spell. You just have to use the clone ritual. Yeah. Which isn't even a spell, it's actually a ritual, which is different.
Fair.
But I will say 5th edition is a really good system, really smooth. Anyone can pick up 5th edition and play 5th edition, and anyone can pick up 5th edition and DM for 5th edition.
It is a perfect, accessible system with a lot of open ends that, like, I still posit, and I've been saying this for a while, that one of the things that makes 5e so good is that because it's such a simple design, it is incredibly easy for anybody to come in and modify it. Like, one of 5e's biggest strengths is that it is easily changeable. Like, it's kind of weird saying that. Like, the best thing about this system is that I can change the things I don't like. But that's what makes 5e really cool. And so you can just easily add your own things because it's a very simple system. It's action, bonus action, and like D20. Easy.
5th edition is the gateway drug to Pathfinder 2e.
That is a good way to put it.
It's as the boomers say, it's the marijuana that leads you to meth because, you know, drugs work that way, and apparently you just get an inherent need to really fucking do hardcore shit.
Gotta get the bigger fix if you've been high once.
Literally, I have been more messed up by drinking alcohol than I have been by smoking pot.
Fucking ditto.
So, I don't know what anyone is thinking, but anyway. I mean, Wizards of the Coast, in the end, like, right now, they're just sensationalizing. I used to really, really like 5th edition, and, like, it just, at the beginning, it was really fun, but, like, literally, they keep pumping out books and adventure modules, and, like, in literally half the time, Pathfinder has put out more playable character, like, based information than 5th edition has.
Yeah, like, when was the Artificer class released for 5e? When did that happen?
Oh god, that was, like, just recently. Like, this year, wasn't it?
I don't think it was this year. I thought it was last year.
Didn't it come
No,
out?
it might have been the year before, because, like, I remember Artificer was a big thing because it came out and my friend was playing it in my campaign when I was still in the Dorm.
Unearthed Arcana for it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it was an Eberron, but I know they reprinted it in Tasha. That came out recently. They reprinted all that stuff in Tasha. When did the Eberron book come out? Let's Google that.
But yeah, and it doesn't matter. This stream's as much as I love bashing on 5th edition like everyone else. That's not what this stream's necessarily about. We can bash on them while talking about magic items at the same time.
That's true. There's I was
November. You were right. It was last year.
Okay, yeah. Then that was
or 2 years ago.
Yeah, because I was still in my freshman year of college when Artificer was, like, actually official.
Just shows how long I haven't played 5th edition for, honestly.
Yeah, I haven't played 5th edition for a while. Like, since we put our home game on pause while everyone, like, went off during the summer.
And my complaints only come from a place of love. Okay, my complaints come out of a place of love for 5th edition because 5th edition is what introduces a lot of people into the system, and Wizards of the Coast has the money to do way better, and they don't.
Yeah, like they could pump out books like Paizo if they set their minds to it.
They could just not release 15 campaign books a year and do actual rule books.
Sure.
But we're getting back to the magic items. Let's talk. Well, first of all, let's talk about actually how they do magic items and why I think it's really, really good. First of all, weapons are not attuned or invested items.
It is just a cool weapon you have.
It's just a cool weapon you have. You use it. Anyone can use it. You don't have to spend an hour attuning to it. And not only that, but that also counts for a lot of held items and everything like that. So already off to a great start. Pretty much anything your character doesn't wear 24/7 is not an invested item, so you can have as many as you want. Second, invested is only per day, and you invest an item in the speed it takes you to put the item on.
Oh, that's how that works. Okay. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, for instance, you could put on a pair of, like, gloves of fire punching or whatever. For, like, maybe a full round action if your DM is feeling spunky, you know? I would probably make it like a 1 or 2 action thing and just call it good.
Yeah.
You could take those gloves off, and hopefully half the time, and put on another pair, and you could wear 10 different gloves that day. Because they stay invested for the entire day. So you can't like just take your items on and off at will. Every time you put one on, it invests. And that's what you're stuck with for the day.
I will admit, I was making a character idea in my head that just switches out magic items on the fly. Because that would be kind of fun.
Well, see, now this is the thing, though. 10. You get 10 invested slots. 12 of you take a feat.
Oh. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Which means that most characters, standardly, do not have even half their slots filled half the time.
Yep. In all the games I played with you, I don't think I've had more than, like, maybe 4.
We just hit our highest ever amount with 6.
Oh. Yeah, with 6.
With 6. 5th edition, 3 attune slots. Takes an hour to attune to an item, unless it's like a cursed item. And
it's like so small, honestly.
And weapons count, right? So most of the time, it's 1 weapon and then 2 miscellaneous items.
Yeah, like, actually, does, like, normal +1 or, like, +2 weapons, do you have to be attuned to them?
No. In 5e?
Yeah.
No, not just normal ones.
Like the cool relic weapons, yeah.
Not even relic weapons. Like, any weapon that does more than just +1 or +2 typically does.
Yeah. And then in Pathfinder, it's like, yes, you slap a silly little symbol on your sword. Now it can do fire damage as well. That's one of the cool things about Pathfinder. I was gonna bring up the whole rune thing, at least some part of the stream.
Another thing I would like to mention as well is that while Pathfinder gives you +1 striking, which means you'd roll an additional damage die for your weapon, 5th edition just gives you +1. Granted, it's +1 to hit and damage, where the +1 in Pathfinder is just to hit. But it's not really a fair comparison because in 5th edition, in Pathfinder, you just have way more health.
Yep.
So, that being the expectation, for those who are like, oh, they get striking. I like striking. I think it's good. Players love rolling more dice.
I love it. More dice, the better, honestly.
But Pathfinder also has way more health. So, like, 5th edition, you just can't compare because the health values are just not the same.
Yeah, it's a completely different beast.
So, yeah. that's kind of one of the big things between the two systems that really, and like Flamelad says it really well here. Pathfinder expects you and wants you to use items. 5th edition is like, you can put items in your game if you want to give your players a boost.
That's actually really interesting. I think it's a very good comparison between the two. That shouldn't be like that. Like, your items shouldn't be as like a crutch for your players. It should be a thing that makes their characters more fun and cooler. Like, something they want their character to have, you know? Not because, if I don't have this sword, I won't be able to do enough damage and I'll get my party killed.
And yeah, it's just like one of those things, and that's how like 5th edition treats a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's just more. Players are taxed a lot more in 5th edition in a lot of ways. Like, if you want to take a short rest, it's an hour. In Pathfinder, pretty much everything you get on a short rest, you get in 10 minutes. In 5th edition, you know, it's 50 gold pieces just for one healing potion that honestly becomes outdated by level 5.
Yep.
And like they just have this level of like weight on the players that Pathfinder just says like, hey, if you don't want magic items, don't put them in your game, but we're going to give you a shit ton of magic items and make them reasonably balanced for our game. Like, 5th edition says, GMs, you balance it, you do everything. If you want your items cheaper, cool, you're the DM, you can do that. Here you go. They tell you, you have to do the math and you have to do everything around it. Well, in Pathfinder, they give you all that. And they say if you don't want it, then just remove it, you know?
Yeah.
It's
not a fun attitude. Not a fun attitude to have in a game.
And so, you know, Pathfinder, it's just a lot of guff. But we spent an hour bitching about 5th edition and talking about the statistics. Let's spend this next hour doing something really fun and really cool, which is talking about some magic items we find and getting super hyped about them.
So I already have an answer to this, like, immediately.
Cool, give us your item.
Well, there's a few. One of them I'll at least mention, because I remembered this thing existed. It is a good old vehicle, actually. It's the Steam Giant. I love the Steam Giant. It is a, like, level 14 vehicle that requires... needs a crew. 1 pilot and 3 crew. To pilot it, you need a driving lore DC 32 or crafting DC 34. And it's straight up like a big ass mech. You could just have a mech in the game. It has a flame jet. If it runs into something, it does 10d10 like damage. It's ridiculous. It's 20 feet long, 20 feet wide, 25 feet high. It's so cool. It's 12,500 gold pieces. But I love this thing. I desperately want a campaign where I can get a Steam Giant. That sounds like the coolest thing ever.
That's a good idea.
You spoilers, Flame Loud. I was gonna bring up the Bag of Weasels.
Bag of Weasels.
I love that item too. It is so good.
The Steam Giant might come up if I do a campaign in the Mana Wastes. I think you'll want to be in that one, Alex, because it's going to be very Mad Max.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'll save my Preacher Gunslinger for that one.
Okay.
Because that sounds like a great setting for him.
All right, what's your next item? Come on, let's go.
Oh, next item. Well, I already mentioned. Let me find it. It is the amazing Bag of Weasels. The Bag of Weasels appears and functions as a Type 1 bag of holding. But whenever you try to take something from the bag, you have to make a DC 11 flat check. On a success, you grab it. On a failure, it turns into a weasel. And then it just tries to get away. I really like that item.
Well, you know, and what's also good about it as well, it's a cursed item, sure, But the worst thing is you get bit by a weasel.
Honestly, and like it doesn't well, it does take away equipment, but like it can't take away artifacts, cursed items, or hard to destroy items. So if you have like a really nice thing you're trying to take out, it's not going to destroy it. It's not going to like overtake it. You'll just have a weasel. And if your DM's not an asshole, he's not going to get rid of any of your really good shit. He's just going to have a weasel bite your hand and like run away because that's funny.
It's really, really good.
I love that item.
Here's one of my favorite items. Early item. You get this you can get this at level 4. It's healer's gloves.
Yeah, healer's gloves. They're very good.
So good, super aesthetic. Not only does it have good effects, but just imagine like nice long like half-length gloves for like a not a scientist but like a surgeon would have or something like that. Like you could work this into your character's apparel. It has a nice aesthetic feel to it. Not only that, it gives you a +1 item bonus to medicine checks, which is fits
awesome.
A lot of different character aesthetics, a lot of different character builds. Really, really good. But any character can get this item, and honestly, if you get the opportunity to pick it up, and by the way, it's only 80 gold pieces, you know, man, you can get that for a lot cheaper than 2 potions in 5th edition.
Yeah, honestly, like in use, it is so nice. It is very handy to have a character who has that in your party.
And once a day, you use an interact action and touch an adjacent creature, giving them 2d6 plus 7 hit points back.
Always helpful.
It's literally like a lay on hands effect that you can get really early. Anyone can have this, especially because there's not a lot of glove items in the game yet. And it's just good. And then you can get a greater version at level 9. At level 9, and which is not necessarily that hard to get. Actually, one thing I want to mention before we continue. So, magic items are not necessarily balanced by level in Pathfinder as much as they are balanced by cities. So a city or a settlement has a settlement level, and the region that city is in will dictate like what kind of items you can find at that level. So for large cities, you have between, like 8 to 12 maybe for their settlement level. And if they produce magic items in that area, you can buy items at the settlement value.
Yeah, it's a really nice way to balance it, besides like making it expensive. Like, you're not going to find a super nice item in like a tiny ass town. A big trading city, yeah. Like you can probably find a really nice magic item, but like if you're in some fucking fishing village, are you going to find anything? Probably not. It's cool. It's a nice way to balance it too, because I think it offsets like how cheap some magic items are. Because like, yeah, this item's cheap, you could probably afford it pretty early on, but can you find it? Like, do you know where to look? Do you know like what it looks like? You have to make a check to even be able to find it.
Not only that, but if that that type of item is not found, which by the way, magic items are not found in most areas actually in Pathfinder. You can get items up to half of the settlement level easily in that town. Yeah. You can always set up quests, or you can always set up methods your players can maybe find higher level items. They have to get into the underground or something like that, which is cool, and I like that as well. And honestly, this kind of promotes that. But like this balances out so that the players can't necessarily just buy things unless you give it to them.
Yeah.
But they can go to a decent sized city and buy items up to like level 10 pretty much before you start hitting like the mid game or the end game of your game. Because anything past level 10, your players have to find. They have to go on quests for items of those levels, everything. Like in my Tuesday game recently, the players went to a city. It was a level 10 settlement. but they don't produce magic items, so they can only buy level 5 items. Well, my player's level 9, so that wasn't really going to work all too well. But the city was known for having crusaders who fought against a bunch of demons in a war that ended like a year or two ago. So they're like, okay, maybe they'll have some cool evil slaying relics or whatever that we can take. They had to go search out. They met someone. They paid a bunch of money to set up a meeting with this person, and through a series of events, my players got a level 15 lance.
Ooh.
It's a +2 greater striking holy flame lance that's made of silver.
Shit. That's awesome.
And not only that, but it once per day against an undead threat, I think, or yeah, I think it's against an undead threat, or maybe just once or any threat, you can cast a level 7 radiant lance spell. It's a really good item, and they went through.
To get a free cast, honestly, like any item that just like here's a free spell. It's always really nice.
And the thing is, it wasn't that I just let them do this either. They actually exchanged a level 7 spell scroll they found in like this old druid like information repository place. They found a level 7 regenerate spell, and they healed this crusader so he could go on one last crusade against Tar-Baphon this time. And so like they traded a level 7 spell scroll. That's a level 14 or 15 item.
Oof.
And I was like, well, shit. I was gonna give him like level 9 like plate armor or whatever that had some good bonuses on it, but they're trading a pretty good pretty good spell scroll that makes a player almost immortal for like a minute. They can still be unconscious, but the regeneration is so high that they just don't die.
Yeah.
You kind of turn into a troll. And so they traded that, and I was like, you know what? They're going through all this trouble. Let's go ahead and it made it all worth it. Players now have a really good item. And that was fun. That was fun for them, and that was fun for me. They traded a pretty good item for it, and they put a lot of effort into it. They actually had to like resever this guy's spine and not kill him to apply the spell so that he would heal properly. Like, it was a blast. There was a lot of really crazy stuff.
Yeah, sounds like it. Good lord.
But yeah. Spontaneous casting spellcasters in general don't really have a whole bunch. I mean, and a lot of them are kind of just for spellcasters in general. Like for spellcasters, I always recommend a spell staff. Yep. It just gives you extra spell slots in the day.
Same with having like at least a few wands. Have items that give you extra casts. Wands in 2E are very fun. I'm a big fan of some of the wands I've been given in those games. Like the good old-fashioned taser wand. I love that item.
Spell hearts and homebrewing your own spell hearts are also another really good item for spellcasters in general. Wands are really good too. Yeah, wands are really good too. Extra cast, but spell hearts are really cool because they're like a talisman. You attach it to a weapon or to your armor, and when you activate it, you can like whenever you cast a spell to activate them. And the flaming star is a really good example. So you activate it and cast a spell. It lets you use Produce Flame. And the spell attack roll of any spell cast by activating this item, because there's greater versions of it for like Fireball and anything like that, gives you 2 resistance to fire damage. And after you cast a fire spell by activating the star, your strikes with a weapon deal an additional d4 damage until the end of your next turn. So that already makes it really good, really solid item. Other items are just as good. You can homebrew your own spell hearts for a lot of other things. Honestly, you just gotta, when it comes to like magic items specifically for casters, you gotta ask yourself, what is it that you want to help this player do, and how you want to give their aesthetics, because grimoires are also another really good item. They can help boost the DC for spells from certain categories. There's another good one. I think it's like, yeah. Instructions for Lasting Agony.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good
it's a
lord.
grimoire. And it's a grimoire that when you're holding it, you can activate it as a meta magic effect. And the next harmful necromancy spell that you've prepared in that grimoire and that calls for a saving throw, you wrap the target in twisting negative energy that causes intense pain. If the target fails its saving throw against the spell, they also become sickened 1 by the pain. You can easily do this with like a Book of Flames, where they do a meta magic and the next fire spell they cast and they fail the save against, they also take like 1, 2, or D4 or D6 persistent fire damage. And this item just enhances spells.
Yeah, I mean, also any persistent damage you can get is always handy. That does work. Like,
well, a sickened 1 is also nothing to sniff at. I'm sure you know.
I'm sure I know. Good lord.
It's there's a lot of items that can make your spellcasters better. I don't have anything for spontaneous versus non-spontaneous, because the system really doesn't differentiate between the two, and I honestly wouldn't want them to. Purely for the fact that that just means that it's a magic item that some players can take and other players can't. So you might as well just have an item that more players can use, right?
Yeah.
And if you do want them, you can make them. You can make items that have special requirements, but like, honestly, any magic item for like spellcasting, grimoires, spell hearts, magic saves, really good choices in general. All right, do you got our item there, Alex?
I would like to talk about my favorite magic item in 2nd edition. My favorite
Okay.
you might know what this is, actually.
Knowing you, I honestly don't.
It is the Traveler's Any Tool.
Ah, that is a good one.
That is my favorite magic item in all of Pathfinder 2e, because what it does is it's 200 gold. It's not crazy, like it's it's an investment in early game, but what it does is it's a 2-action use, and you imagine a specific simple tool, and the Any Tool will turn into it. Basically, there's a list of tools in chapter 6 of the core book, and it can turn into any of those, like hammers, little crowbars, stuff like that. Nothing crazy complicated. That is my favorite because it is an item that just lets you have just any of a tool of like the basic tools, and you can use it in interesting ways because you can role play out like, oh, my character does this thing and he uses the multi-tool to do this, and it gives you a lot of options and roleplay options too. There's a lot of creativity that goes into it that I think is really fun for just a like pretty simple held item. Doesn't even take up an attunement slot. It's just you just have a pretty cool item just at your disposal, and it's also one of those nice magic items that you can honestly just pass around to the party. Like, oh hey, we need a 10-foot pole. Yeah, here you go. I wasn't carrying it around. I just turned my staff, my Any Tool into a 10-foot pole. It is incredibly helpful. And in every single game I've been in, I've at least, save for like the Tuesday one when I was in it, I didn't have the Any Tool then, but every other game, I have the Any Tool and I always get some good use out of it. It is a solid item that I don't think should be overlooked.
Yeah, it's a really, really good one. And you guys a Potion Factory, yeah. I love the homunculus. I love
That was
Henry.
great.
Henry was a really good character. Flamebow mentioned another great item, the Shifting Rune, which is...
I actually don't know that one.
Shifting Rune allows you to transform the item that's equipped with it into any other weapon of the same number of hands.
That is fun.
So,
I like.
If you're playing a weapon master, really, really good. Now, I should mention, and this is kind of my own misconception on it, for those who don't know, the Shifting Rune only allows you to turn the weapon into any other weapon that requires the same number of hands as the initial weapon that was inscribed with the rune. You can't say turn it into a longsword, which is a one or two-handed sword, and then turn it into a bastard sword or a great axe with two hands if the initial item was just like a short sword.
Yeah.
But this also reminds me of my favorite rune in the game. And that's going to be the... Oh gosh, what's the name of it? I'm trying to remember. The Extending Rune, because I think it's fucking hilarious.
That is fair. It is pretty funny.
The Extending Rune with two actions. The weapon extends up to 60 feet.
So stupid.
And as a part of the action, you strike with the weapon as well.
That is
I
so
love
dumb.
it. Just the fact that you can smack down like a flying character or anything like that. It's really, really good. I love it. And you can get the truce that are the greater version, which extends it to 120 feet.
Yeah. Also, looking at it, yeah, it is not that bad once you get to like higher level. That is a good cost for that.
It's really good. It's really solid. And it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite runes just because I love the aesthetic of it. And it means that no enemy on the battlefield is safe from you.
Yeah.
You can hit someone from anywhere. I find that it's a great item. 60 feet already means that you can hit anyone in most rooms standardly. And the 120 feet is just overkill.
Yeah, I mean, some fucking like flying creature thinks they can get a little spicy, and you just swat them out of the sky with your big sword. Sounds awesome.
I want to bring up one of my favorite items, mostly just for the aesthetic of it, but also just I think one of the things that's really cool about it, which is the Coyote Cloak. It's a really, really simple item. It gives you a +1 item bonus on survival checks, and if you ever crit succeed a survival check to subsist, to hunt, you provide for twice the number of creatures normal. It's a really good item to just toss at your players willy-nilly. 60 gold pieces, really cheap if they want to buy it. But it makes it so that characters can gear up to go, and you can style it in many different ways. You can have different Coyote Cloaks for different environments. You can increase the gold value and the item value and be like, this also allows you to avoid freezing temperatures. This also gives you a bonus to disease checks or poison effects to like swamps or like anything you can get in the swamp. And
yeah, like that's a cool item. That's such a fun item to just give to your players.
It's great, and I love the aesthetic of it. I love that you have this cloak, you just put it on, over top like a mantle, and it just makes your character better. And there's different ways it can be done too. You can have an effect where it covers your face and like it prevents the spray of like sand in a desert from hitting your face. There's a lot of things that can be done with just this simple item. And like I said, 60 gold pieces. It's nothing.
Pretty good. I would like to mention what's being talked about in the chat right now, and an image I don't like, which is extending hand wraps.
Extending hand wraps.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Literally just Luffy. Like, that is horrifying. How would you run that, Cameron, if you had that in your game?
I have to double check something real quick on that. Just
if it even counts as a weapon.
Yeah, well, if there's certain like, I mean, I don't have a problem with it because, again, when you're talking game balancing, you're allowing one type of... It's like saying, no, you can't because you're a monk use this effect. Yeah, it says on a melee weapon. And I think hand wraps and mighty blows. Let's see here. Yeah, so it says under hand wraps and mighty blows, property runes only apply when they would be applicable to the unarmed attacks you're using.
So
the rune doesn't say all weapons, it mentions like melee weapons specifically.
So not hand wraps.
Yeah, I would say. But let me double check.
The absolute cowards.
I don't have a problem with it personally. Oh, you know what? All of them say etched onto a weapon. So yeah, really, I don't think there's a problem with that. Legitly speaking.
That's honestly, yeah. I would love to see this in play. At least once.
I honestly don't see a problem with it. So yes, in my games, I would allow it. Mostly because it doesn't do anything anyway, and like it doesn't break the game. If your player is doing it and trying to become Monkey D. Luffy, I might just ban it on principle. But
yeah, fuck One Piece. Fuck One Piece.
I like One Piece. I just don't like players playing canon characters from TV shows.
I do agree. You know what's very funny about that? This morning when I was talking to my roommate about him being in your game, and he was talking about the Huangi Expanse, he was like coming up with character ideas and immediately like looks like disappointed. He's like, "Oh yeah, it is a serious game." And I was like, "Yeah, it's more roleplay focused and like a bit more serious in tone." And he's like, "Oh, so I can't just play Rambo?" It's like, no, you can't just play Rambo. That's not gonna fly.
It's yeah. I mean, like I like to be able to increase immersion as much as possible.
Yeah.
I like humor. Humor is great, but humor can also be immersive.
Yeah, it can.
You know, when Thuck spoke, it wasn't like it took you out of the game necessarily.
No,
you just imagined a really derpy kobold saying these things. So.
Yeah, it's when it's at the detractment of other stuff that it's intrusive.
If a character starts running around going "Gumu Gumu no," I'm gonna be like, a rock falls and kills your character.
Yeah.
You're done.
I agree.
I got enough of that at fucking Adventures League.
Yeah.
There's one kid every time just made his favorite character. He made Joker. He made the one singing girl from fuck. It wasn't Three Houses. It was the other Fire Emblem, the one right before that one.
Oh, the bad one, Fates.
Yeah, he made the singing girl from that. And then his characters never did anything, said anything. So he wasn't like super cringy, but he just like after the session would just talk about how awesome his character is, and I'm just like,
was I in those tables? I straight up don't remember that.
I don't know about his tables.
Okay.
I think he was more of a thing after you left.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't remember that. I remember the murder hobo I had to rein in, but yeah, that just playing a character that's from something is kind of annoying. I've only done it once, and it was specifically as a joke in a game where I was allowed to make a joke like that because that was the tone. I did a Star Wars campaign with my roommate, and as a joke, I played Captain James T. Kirk from the Starship Enterprise, and he was an unarmed melee captain, high charisma, high melee damage, and he fought in the really shitty Star Trek choreography, but it actually was effective. I did this with his direct consent, and everyone really liked it. And I got to do a really shitty, what's that actor's name? I gotta do a shitty Kirk impression for
William
like
Shatner.
I gotta do a really shitty William Shatner impression for 4 hours. It was a good time, and it was only I only did it because it was specifically like a goofy game for all of us to have fun.
Yeah, and those games are also valid. So
yeah, if it was a serious game, I actually have some serious Star Wars RP characters I've made that I would like to replay. I would really like to play my Force sensitive Force atheist one more time. I love that guy. He's so much fun, especially when he's set in the Old Republic setting, where it is overtly obvious that Sith and Jedi have some magical powers. Just to have a character who's like, don't believe it, bunch of scam artists.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'm not going to get into Star Wars now. But let's go ahead and continue on with our magic item, shall we?
Yeah.
You got another magic item for me?
I'm trying to remember.
Or for them, anyway?
I will say the one thing I'll mention is, because I don't have a specific one, because a lot of the ones I named were either things I've read and thought were funny, or things I've used. Do not discount the amazing use of having just a bunch of wands on your person. For my first Pathfinder character, I played a sorcerer. Good time. I like that character. He was really fun. And I think, honestly, around like level 3-ish, he got a Wand of Shocking Grasp, I think was the spell.
Yep.
And it activated with a melee attack. So how I always described it was literally like a stun baton. And it was just the thing he had on his person if someone got too close. And like he would just fucking like something's like right in his face, like and he'd just jam it into them. Like it was just his emergency tool. And it was a free cast. Like honestly, I didn't get a lot of spell slots. I used it mainly for my fire magic because he was a fire sorcerer. He was a fiend sorcerer. And having like access to just free spells is really nice as a spellcaster, because then it's also just you get a lot of flexibility just for a simple purchase, or even like, oh yeah, I can have a staff or a wand that gives me extra casts of the spells I use like all the time, the stuff I get direct bonuses to use. It is pretty nice. Like, do not discount buying wands and staffs. They are indispensable and some of the best magic items, I'd say, if you're a spellcaster. They're so nice. I still want to play like a bandolier wand wizard, like just who has like a full-on bandolier of just spare wands. I think it's super fun.
That's fair. Another thing that you might not know about wands that even enhances that further, there are meta magic wands.
That I didn't know.
Yes. So you take the wand and you use any of your spells you currently have, like prepared, and you add on. You just pretty much add on the meta magic effect for like whitening to increase the area. There's one for which is like continuation, which gives you like extending the duration of spells. There is a bunch of them for the various meta magics in the game as well, so that not only can your wizard idea have extra spell slots equivalently with these wands, but they can also take a wand and enhance one of their spells with it as well, meaning that it's even more viable.
That's super cool. That is very good to know. I just found a magic item that's honestly I wish I gave to Morgan. It would be very nice.
Which one is that?
It's the predictable coin. Or the coin of predictability.
Oh yeah, of course you would.
Yeah. What it does is you activate it by rubbing one side of the coin, and then if you flip it, no matter how you flip it, it'll always come face up on the side you rubbed it. So it is perfect for a con artist character, which is what my first Pathfinder character was. He was a straight up con artist. I love those items. Like some of my favorite Pathfinder items are the ones that's like gives you the big damage, gives you like a bunch of spell slots. Like no, it's the little things you can use for roleplay. Those are always that was actually my favorite magic items in any system. I love the like my favorite fifth edition magic item is the Cloak of Billowing. I love the minor magic items that do literally nothing but are just kind of fun. That is my favorite things to have because it's perfect for roleplay. which is kind of what I go for mainly in tabletop. And then then I'll find something that's fun for combat. Like that'll make my character a little stronger. But the fun role player, the goofy items come first.
Fair. Let's talk about another one that I like a lot,
Yes.
which is Dancing Scarf. It's a really, really good one. Again, another low-cost one. 60 gold pieces, level 3. It gives you a +1 item bonus to your performance checks. So, really good on your standard bard in general. If you have a dancing swashbuckler, absolutely necessary, because it will help you on your checks that get you panache. But one of the best effects, and my god, does it's any number of times a day you can activate this. Single action. If your most recent action was a successful performance check to dance, you become concealed by the scarf wrapping around you in a colorful display until the beginning of your next turn.
Hell yeah, that's pretty cool.
Now, concealed's really good already. That they need to make a...
Oh, your mic died.
No, I got kicked out of Discord for some reason again. I don't know why that keeps happening.
I don't know either.
Anywho, so it wraps around you a lot. Now, this is the one thing that I'm kind of confused about when it comes to this item, especially in comparison to other items, because Concealed allows a character to use a hide action to become, unseen by everyone. But for most items like this, it mentions you can't use this to become unnoticed, or even if you do become unnoticed because the effect follows you, enemies still have a general idea of where you are. This one doesn't mention that.
Oh, maybe it's imagine little scenario where you could use it. You're on stage and a fight's gonna break out, and you're doing your I don't know, maybe the character's a sleight of hand magician, and they're doing a performance. Some guards are coming after you, and they're like, all right, for my last trick, and snap your fingers, the scarf starts dancing around you, and then you kind of slip out of the way, and everyone's so focused on the performance from the scarf, and they're like, wait, he disappeared, where'd he go?
Yeah,
and,
that's how I see it. It's just there's a sudden flurry of the scarf running, going around. They're traditionally rainbow designs, though yours can be anything you want. And there's just it just whirls around and then you're gone.
Yeah.
And you can do this anytime you just make a performance check to dance. So
that's really, I like that. I like that one a lot.
You can make a dancer-esque themed rogue and use this to get sneak attacks on people.
Yeah, I mean, I could see a few fun characters using that.
So if you can't tell, I like aesthetic items. I really like items that give aesthetics or gives really cool circumstance kind of effects that change what's going on in a given scene. And Alex, you have a pretty good range, honestly. Either silly or surprisingly helpful in unexpected ways.
I like those ones too. Speaking of something kind of silly that's helpful in some ways, I found a pretty fun magic item. It's called the Bag of Cats. The Bag of Cats has two things it can do. There's two of it. You can interact and envision, both two actions. You can either shake the bag and produce a single cat, which is a third level summon animal to summon a leopard, or you put the bag over your head and it covers you completely, and you exit the bag as a large cat.
Nice.
Yeah. That's just it caught my eye in Archive Nothing. It's just a bag of cats. Also, if you pet the bag, it just quietly purrs. They do mention that.
It's really good.
That's a fun item. Honestly, I can see the use of it because summoning an extra thing on the field is always nice, and that's also kind of goofy.
Yeah, so good utility and kind of goofy. Right up your alley.
Exactly.
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of really good items in the game as well. We're getting to like the last 30 minutes, so let's try to find some items that are kind of on the upper end, so we can talk about like some of the really good effects.
Yeah. Let me look.
There's one that I really like in general because it's a good one to give to your wizard early, and then have it like evolve as you go. Where is it? Demon Mask is also really, really good.
I remember that. Yes, that is very good. Well, I found a pretty fun one. Because I looked at the weapons and went to the highest level weapon in the book. It is a good old weapon called the Sky Hammer. Is a level 20 item.
Sky Hammer is a good one.
70,000 gold. It is a +3 major striking flaming shock orichalcum warhammer shaped like a blazing comet. You activate as a reaction to command. Your attack roll with the Sky Hammer is a critical success. Effect. Oh no, sorry. Trigger is if you crit with this hammer. A 6th level arcane fireball spell explodes center on the Sky Hammer. The spell DC is 45. You are immune to the fireball. Your allies are not.
It's really, really good.
It's really good, and you can craft it. Like that. This is an item you can craft. There's a buzzsaw axe. What? There's a chain axe in the system.
Yeah, there is. There's a buzzsaw axe. Actually, it's really good.
That is really fun. Oh, this is literally the buzzsaw axe from fucking Borderlands. This is all this is. Yeah. Literally can throw it as well. This one's a 11 plus because you can have a regular, greater, or major. Each one gives a striking bonus. Greater's +2. Major is +3. Major striking axe.
And I would do Apex items, but man, they have so many like effects added on to them. I just don't want to sit here. Apex items are essentially like the magic items that enhance your characters to ridiculous limits. They're like the ones that like they bump your stat by 2, or if it's not at 18, it makes it 18. And they give a whole bunch of other effects, like Titan's Grasp, all those kind of stuff. They have a lot of effects, and they're really, really cool. But for what we're doing right now, just like talking off the cuff, not one I feel necessarily comfortable with, just because they have a lot of information. But there is one. Let's see here. The Clockwork Cloak.
Ooh.
Already sounds really interesting. It's a paper-thin set of interlocking gears and winding cogs that make this bronzy cloak. As a reaction once per day, if you're struck by a melee attack with a held weapon, you deflect the blow and attempt to catch the weapon in the clock's gears. Make an athletics check to disarm the weapon. So you can disarm someone as a reaction as their item gets stuck in this paper-thin amount of cogs on your cloak.
That's really cool.
It's like dimensional. I love the idea. But there's also another effect. 2 activations interact action. No limit. You wrap the cloak around yourself, and the winding gears de-accelerate your body, causing you to enter a standby mode. While in standby mode, you don't need to eat, drink, or sleep. You remain aware of your surroundings, but take a -4 penalty to perception checks. You can stay in standby mode indefinitely, although your body ages normally. You can leave standby mode as a free action. If you do so to initiate combat, you gain a +2 item bonus to your initiative.
What level item is this?
18.
It sounds like an 18 item.
I love this because you can throw this on enemies. You can that make them into really, really interesting enemies, especially if the enemy doesn't age. They can be in this cloak, like, waiting for time to come, and when the players defeat them, they get a really cool magic item out of it.
That's awesome.
It's like dimensional. Like, you're just imagine those scenes in movies where they like take the camera through a set of cogs and like a clock or like a watch or something like that. Imagine this cloak as a paper thin view into that, where it's like there's a set of cogs even deeper in, just like this dimensional space that makes up this cloak.
Ooh, that is. God, that's a really cool item. I would like to either fight someone with this item or have this item. I found an interesting item because I'm basically looking through the items and just seeing what the top level shit is. This is just a really cool name. It's in the armor. It is Whisper of the First Lie.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's so cool. It's a necklace contains bottled whispers distilled from a source in the astral plane, rumored to be connected to the first lie ever told. You get a +3 item bonus to deception checks. You can attempt to counteract effects that would force you to tell the truth or determine whether you're lying. Success in the counteract attempt lets you ignore the effect rather than removing the effect entirely. Also, as an interact action, this is like a one-time use essentially. You open the vial and it creates an effect of fabricated truth, which from what I'm reading is a very powerful spell, or at least a really high level spell. At least more what I mean. DC 47. The vial is empty and can never be used again.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a 10th level spell. Good lord.
It's really, really interesting. There's some other spells, or there's some other items that do some similar stuff. But that's such a cool item to like find in like in Ancient Lich's like horde of items.
It's a great lore thing too. That is such a cool like thing to give your players. Like this item, this is the Whisper of the First Lie. That is just awesome.
It's really cool, and like again, it comes from outside of this dimension. It comes from like a different plane.
Those items are always the coolest.
Fuck, you can even give that as like an item from Asmodeus, and you're just like, Asmodeus, were you the first one to tell a lie? And he's like, I won't tell you. Or he'll say yes, but that might be a lie. That
is pretty good.
It's really, really good. Here's one. I got a great one. That's super like not super cool sounding like the other items we just talked about, but in practice is a super good item.
Oh yeah.
A sturdy shield Supreme, which is not many items with the Supreme moniker. So it's a Supreme sturdy shield. It has a hardness of 20, 160 HP, and it gets to its broken value at 80. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, right? No. A hardness of 20, when you use shield block, means it reduces an attack by 20.
Oh.
And if it doesn't do damage, it doesn't do damage to you or the shield.
Oh.
It's a level 19 magic item. Being able to reduce damage by 20, and this has a lot of HP too, and it only takes whatever damage is left over. Like, this shield will get a lot of use, and I can't even imagine like all the things you could do with it.
Yeah, that is very nice. Holy shit.
Shield block is one of the most underestimated feats in the game.
Big fucking agreed. I learned how good it was like on the finale of our game.
Yeah, it's true. It's really, really solid, and like just 20 HP is really good. If you're a champion, this gets even higher.
Yeah.
And I think if you're a sentinel, you can even make it higher. Yes, I know you need it, Devin. We're working on getting Devin maybe a Calcum shield.
Hell yeah.
Orichalcum's really, really good. Don't forget to look in the held items section as well, because held items are also really good.
Yeah, I've been poking around in it. That's where I was looking through it also to double check the Traveler's Any tool.
Fair. I always look at worn items and I forget that this one exists.
Yeah, because worn items are the ones you have to attune to. Held items are not.
Yes, which makes them even better.
Yeah. Ooh, possibility tome. This is actually kind of cool. It is a book that it's a 10-minute activation, and as you flip through it, you think about a broad topic you want. So basically, a skill check like Arcana, Crafting, Medicine, Nature, like those kind of things, or a single category of lore. And the book fills with information about it, and you get a +3 item bonus to your check. And if you get a crit fail, you just get a failure. It is done once per day, or at least the information in the book disappears after 20. Oh, the book disappears after 24 hours, and then the tome's activated again. So that information's still there for 24 hours, and then it goes away.
Really
this is
cool.
A pretty cool one. This is a great wizard item, or at least like smart character item.
And I think that's also another great thing about the system as well. Pathfinder provides items for every character class to do anything. You get item bonuses for certain kind of checks you want to make. You want to play a diplomat, you want to intimidate people, you want to have really good performances. There's items out there for you, and they also do really cool stuff in tandem with the bonuses they give you.
Cut out again.
Weird. Well, they heard me, so it doesn't matter.
That's what matters, yeah.
But, and weird because I didn't even DC that time.
That's weird, yeah.
No idea. But, we're in like the last 13 minutes or so. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tell you all my own custom magic item prepared just for this stream. And Alex, you can either make up your own magic item, or you can just look up another really fun magic item or cursed item. Actually, look up your favorite cursed item.
That's easy.
But all right. So mine is actually based on an SCP, actually, but only very loosely.
I'll see if I can guess which one it is.
You don't have to. I'm going to say the name of it because it's the name of the item. There Be Dragons.
Okay.
You get a set of different colored origami dragons. And whenever you find a set, you can find between, 1 and 5 of these. And each of the origami dragons are very intricately done. And as a 3-action interact action, you let one of them go. It flutters and goes to a space, an open space that it can fit into, and it turns into a ancient dragon for 1 minute. Before before returning back to a regular non-magical origami dragon. Or if you want to balance it better, you can even say an adult's dragon. The color of the paper dictates what kind of dragon it turns into. And only one origami dragon can be used at a time. If another origami dragon is used, the prior one reverts back to an origami shape and becomes no longer magical.
That does sound like a really fun item.
It's a good item. It's a consumable item. It's very powerful. And not only that, but just imagine there is actually in-game lore stuff that could make an item like this, actually.
Oh, even better.
Yeah. It's a region that wasn't very much explored in first edition Pathfinder. It's a Qianshan, which is like another one of the continents. But they got all kinds of stuff like that. It's really, really cool. So that was mine. Really easy to do, but honestly, like, I like the idea of the implications the item has. Like, where you get these origami dragons, where they come from, and maybe you can even ask the dragon a question before it goes, like, in a minute, and it has some weird, mysterious origins.
Oh, yeah. You could use some pretty cool, like, little world building, or even, like, foreshadowing with that. There's a lot of great options for you with that item, which is always fun. Good thing if your item gives your DM some fun little things they can do.
All right, give us your favorite cursed item.
So I already mentioned Bag of Weasels, so I'm not going to mention how amazing the Bag of Weasels is. But I do want to give a fun little shout out to the Boots of Dancing, which is boots that look like, and some of my favorite cursed items. The cursed items that look like really good items. They act like greater boots of elven kind, but they react wildly to strong physical exertion. While you wear the boots, the curse activates whenever you attempt an athletics check or stride more than once in a single round during an encounter. These boots cast an 8th level uncontrollable dance spell on you. You automatically fail your save. Once the curse is activated, they fuse to you. That is fucking awful. Good lord.
It's really rough. Though, see, what I like about it is because if it actually operates like greater boots of elven kind, it just, whenever you make those checks, it does that thing. It's like, oh my god, these are really, really good boots. But if I have to make an athletics check, they're going to make me dance.
Yeah. Also, another fun one. This is my other favorite item. It's called the Ring of Truth. So there is an item called the Ring of Lies, which gives you like a +2 bonus to deception. This one is it looks exactly the same, except when you like look inside or like really close, you can see a set of angelic wings and divine creatures in it. And when you invest in the ring, you are rendered unable to tell a deliberate lie. And you have to roll a DC when you try to if you attempt to omit the truth or phrase things truthfully but deceptively, roll a DC 11 flat check. On a failure, the ring itself blurts out the entire truth as you believe it as an answer. It is literally some fucking celestial, like, either person or creature created this item just to fuck with liars. That is a really fun, like, little, like, story in there.
That does sound really, like I said, we like items that are just more than mechanical. You know, they have a lot of story potential for it, because that's what you do in a role-playing game. You know, it's all about that story. We're almost done. Oh wow! Hey, thank you, Cassio Zenadai, for subscribing. That's really loud and not the alert I was expecting. So I'm gonna have to fix that. But it's all good. One last one, and one type of item I'm surprised we didn't mention, which was the intelligent items.
Yeah.
We never. To be fair, the book doesn't really give too many. Granted, there's one called Brain Cylinder, which I'm kind of interested in, honestly. What the fuck does it have? It's got a lot of text. Goodness. But I'll tell you guys about one that I made for my game, which was our... we had a character who is using one of my favorite kind of character archetypes that you can do, which is the non-magical healer. They were playing an investigator who was like... the forensic investigator that took the medic dedication to be like a actual like battlefield medic that doesn't use magic. Really, really cool. They found a magical scalpel. And when they took the scalpel, it had the presence of a very widely acclaimed like medical professional who went missing in the Mwangi Expanse like a decade ago. And the item counted as a +1 striking War Razor. So already really cool. Also, the War Razor is highly underrated as far as items are concerned, because I believe it has Backstabber, if I'm not mistaken. Double check real quick here. War Razor, yeah, it has Backstabber and Deadly D8. So Backstabber does additional damage if the target is flat-footed. I think it does, yeah. 1 additional damage if the target is flat-footed. 2 if the item is a +3 item. I like it. It just adds extra damage. Yeah. It's a really good weapon trait. It's also Deadly D8, so if you crit with it, it does an additional D8 after everything is doubled. But one of my favorite features of this item, it is also a +1 item bonus to medicine checks. And whenever you perform battle medicine, the item, which by the way, I love the rules for magic or intelligent items in this one, because they actually get their own actions. They just are based on special triggers. For his trigger, whenever the character did a battle medicine action, he would assist you by foregoing the Hippocratic Oath, and he would apply the risky surgery feat to your battle medicine.
Hell yeah.
He would cut and slash and get to the root of the issue, allowing for a nice clean stitch up afterwards. Now, normally you can't use risky surgery for battle medicine, because battle medicine is not actually a treat wounds, it's its own action. So normally you have to spend 10 minutes to do this. He could do it in combat, and he did it every time. You couldn't force him not to do it. So, one of the problems with this is risky surgery. How it works is before you make the medicine check, it does a D8 damage to the target. But if you succeed on the check, you get a critical success instead. So he was essentially doubling Peak's battle medicine. But if he ever did it to a target who was downed, they would get an additional wound level, or they go down to an additional dying level before they got the hit points.
Mm-hmm.
So if they were dying 3 and you did this, he would kill them by accident.
Good lord, yeah.
Not only that, and it's something that never came up and I was really, really excited for, he had an additional ability that was really cool. It's called Cut Out the Sickness. And what it does is it does risky surgery only when you do treat disease.
Good lord.
His name was Octavian. And he had a really cool backstory. And I was hoping that the players would take him into the Mwangi Expanse and find out more about like how he got turned into a magic or an intelligent item or whatever, and go into the mindscape of like a brilliant but mad, surgeon. But a really, really cool magic item, helped the player in a lot of ways. He was very strict about the like if the player did anything that he deemed was unfitting of a doctor, he would just refuse to work for them. He would cause instantly whatever medicine check they were using with him to critically fail.
Oh shit.
He was a chaotic neutral item that kind of skews into like chaotic evil in a bit. Just ruthless pursuit of medical knowledge at no matter the cost. He didn't do it because he liked making people suffer, but there was just something about cutting people open that really satisfied him.
Magic items are always fun, especially when if they can butt heads with the wielder.
No. Like if the player said anything that was just like non-scientific or like like medically accurate, like one of the things that the character would do would be like, oh, I'll give you an immunity to goblin pox by biting you, because they were a razor tooth goblin, and he didn't like that. So
yeah, no, I mean, like, anytime a magic item like can just, you know, they can communicate and are at odds with their just user, even if they say something like, I disagree. And also a lot of magic items can be petty as fuck. Good lord, you have nothing else to do and you're just a sentient item. But that sounds like a really cool magic item. Oh, you might be talking again. I cannot hear you.
I was muted. I was talking to someone. Oh god. All right. I was really proud of this magic item, and it's very fun to throw him in. It was really good for the player too, because he wanted what the player wanted: the progression and enhancement of medical knowledge.
Yeah.
You know. And it's that character that like are kind of aligned with the goals of the player, but they're just a slightly more skewed into the obsessive or oh goodness, what's it called? Zealous kind of direction. Really, really good. I'm sad the player is no longer playing with us, because that was a storyline I was really interested in pursuing. But, you know, them's the breaks. Yeah. But yeah, I hope that gives everyone a good idea on what magic items they can take for their games as well. But beyond that, we've gotten to the ends. Thank you everyone who has been here. You guys have been blowing up the chat, really making this a good interactive kind of chat. I'm sorry if we didn't get to anything you mentioned in chat. You know, we do this for 2 hours. We try to get to as much as we can. And today especially, my schedule is a little bit more compacted, because there's still some stuff I have to do before I go to a wedding this weekend. So honestly, after we're done with this, I'm probably gonna end up heading out pretty quick. Actually,
I have a film shoot I need to really prepare for, so
that's fair.
I'm also busy right after this.
I have to edit
a
lot, so that's what's gonna be. But thank you everyone so much. Just some other brief announcements for those who have been sticking around this far. We've gotten to 80 subscribers on the YouTube, which is pretty huge. We're gonna have our 100 subscribers here probably by the end of October, which I'm really excited for. It's a really big really big step in the right direction. We've been working on this for a year, and honestly, like, we've been making a lot of progress recently, which has just been, it's good for me. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for participating. I could not do this without you, honestly. The Discord link is found in the description of the oh, is it not in the description? I could have swore I put it in the description.
I can toss it.
Yeah, you can
I can toss it in the chat.
Yeah, weird. I could have swore I put the link for it in there.
I usually toss the Discord link into the chats when you're wrapping up.
That's fair.
Might as well. At least because if someone wants to join, it's right there.
There you go. I posted it on the YouTube as well.
Dope.
I gotta add that. And another fun announcement as well. My Bard video has now officially surpassed my Town of Salem video. My Town of Salem video is a little bit notorious, as it was like a video that, like, back when I was getting, like, I don't know, well, back years ago, but it's a 7-year-old video. So back years ago when I was kind of doing YouTube stuff, I was getting like, like 10 views or something like that. And for some reason, it is, no, don't do that. But for some reason, of all the videos back then, it got 500 views. It got 500 views like right away. It was like the most successful video on my channel for no reason, no good reason. I died in the first night of that Town of Salem game. Really dumb. And I've now set it as like my benchmark. If my other videos can do as well as that, because obviously the algorithm must have helped or something with that one. If my other videos can do as well as that, I've really got done the right thing.
Yeah.
And the Bard has officially surpassed it now by 3 views. It was an uphill battle, folks, but we got there. And it's nuts. It's nuts thinking 500 people have watched my Bard video.
Oh, yeah.
For a small timer like me, that's nuts. And, you know, we're going to keep pushing it. My intent is to become one of the best Pathfinder, you know, YouTubers out there, or at least for like the style of content I like to do. So thank you all so much for being here, especially in these early days. And a lot of my other videos are doing well. Cleric is already making massive numbers. It's at 143 views in less than a week, which is beating out what Bard had at that time. Bardcore is pretty good. I've heard of Bardcore, yes.
Yeah, Bardcore's great.
And no, you shouldn't do that. Don't do that, Rylan, please.
I mean...
No, don't do it! Shut up, Alex. But yeah, so thank you all so much. Next week is a big week. We got our 1-year anniversary on Tuesday, and you guys get to see a clip video of all my favorite clips from this last year that we've been doing this. Also, I do have to say though, I didn't get all the clips I wanted because some of the clips were gone. I think whoever made them like deleted them, which is very, very sad. But I did get a majority of them, and definitely all the like tabletop related ones. So there's some really good ones in there. I can't wait to share them with everyone and to have a fun video about that. And I guess we'll have to have my 100 subscriber like video, whatever that is. God, I don't even know what to do. But you know. Hello, welcome back. Discord doesn't like me for some reason. But yeah, anyway, the links are in the chat if you want to join our Discord. I'll put them in the description from now on. Don't know why that wasn't there. If you're watching this and you have not done so already, please follow or subscribe to see more amazing content like this. We do a table chat or a table talk once a week, so we can connect with the community about, you know, either the videos I'm producing or the games that we're running. And thank you all for the support. I think we're done here, so thanks Alex for being here, and let's go ahead and say goodnight. You know, I'm never soft serving that to you ever again.
You mean the I couldn't hear you, dude.
Can you not hear me?
I didn't at first. You were doing your whole spiel. I didn't want to cut you off. That'd be rude.
Well, I don't know. Discord's being funky. They heard it. I know they heard it because...
What did you say? I feel left out now. What'd you say?
I was just saying thanks everyone for watching. We got fun stuff coming out next week. And, you know, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
And let's go ahead and say goodnight.
All right. Good night.
There you go.
I feel like every time good night's going to come up, it is going to be a small ordeal for you. I want you to know this. While we are working together in this capacity.
It's for the content. All right. Good night, everyone.